Buenas tardes. I want to talk today about the challenges of aging on the spectrum. A lot of us have these superpowers that get squared as we get older, and the problem is that it's difficult for most people as they get older to avoid cognitive rigidity, and so it's like a double problem for us. So, everyone's a little bit on the spectrum, and they have different qualities that have made them successful in many cases, like math. They're superior in math, or they are, really into music or whatever. And so what we want to avoid as we go forward is what I call OFS, which is old fart syndrome. And it can come in when you're least expect it. So some of the powers that we have, the superpowers, are our cognitive strengths, like the ability to stay intensely focused on anything, mental concentration. And the problem with these things as you get older is they can become analysis paralysis, or perseveration, or perfectionism, obsession with the news nowadays, rapidly, rigidly following one special interest to ignoring others, and intellectual overload with politics, religion, whatever, and excessive daydreaming. And this could be a real problem as you go forward. So I'm only going to spend a few minutes going over these areas, and then we'll talk about solutions, because that's really what I'm into. And your strong observational skills can drive your partner nuts, because you're really repeating everything to them, saying, look at this, look at that, and noticing all of the things. It's just too much for someone. And it can produce social isolation also. We want to avoid know-it-allism as we get older, because we've done a lot, we have a lot of experience, and we think we've lived through it all, and we pretty much know it all in many cases. And that is like tunnel vision. Can lead to paranoia when you're older, and change resistance. In other words, you're not going to change anything. This can particularly drive your wives, if you're guys, nuts, because they want to do things, they want to travel, they want to do everything, and you're sort of reduced to this isolated mode. I always say the default mode of people on the spectrum is isolation. Given that you aren't aware of it and don't do things to change it, that's where it's going to go. And it becomes, even your honesty and directness can become fault-finding and being combative with your partner or your children. Your knowledge can appear like odd behavior, that you have all this knowledge, and like I said, you become change resistant. So we're almost finished here with the overall types of problems that can occur. A couple other ones would be even your passion and your enthusiasm can become workaholism or unrealistic expectations of others. So these are the kind of problems that can occur as you get older, and the problem is that we have a double effect, because not only do we have old age processes working, but we have these brains that already can be very rigid and stuff. So what are the solutions? And there are many, and this is just my ones I've come up with for this video. Prioritize strategies that you're going to use, okay? Don't just start doing everything at once. And do you want a quality of life, or do you want just an existence? You have to decide. Because what you do every year and every month is going to tell you whether you're going to have a long, enjoyable, happy life, or a shorter life that's going to be more painful. So these are the ways that you can do that. Reduce clutter in your house. Finish unfinished tasks before starting new ones. I'm doing that now. I prioritize my projects. I said, I'm going to get these ones done before I move on to anything else, because I have a lot of things I want to do. And here's the best part of this, is to concentrate on the social behavior and relationship development, because those are the most important things for us on the spectrum. Without those, we just drift back into ourselves. So prioritize that. In fact, the studies of the blue zones, where people live to hundreds, to 100 years old, there's like 6 or 7 of them that they've studied. I've watched every video, read a whole lot about them. And the common factor that I see, they have different, some of them drink sake, some of them drink wine, some of them eat these kind of foods. And there's a lot of similar characteristics. But the main one that everyone has is socialization. These people are happy, they want to do something in life, they're active, and they have a group of friends that they have cappuccino with every morning or every couple of days a week. They're out and about, and they're not afraid to try new things. So that, I believe, is the main thing that you want to implement. So join a social group, a church group, community service, get involved. There's even these people that volunteer at airports to greet people, which I don't understand why, but they do it. I guess they want to help the airport, or I guess people in general. So create a fresh sense of wonderment in your life. This is not as hard to do as you think. Just do things a little differently. Like say, today I'm going to have dessert before dinner, or I'm going to, I'm going to walk down this street instead of that one. You want to change it up so you're learning and seeing new things. I'll tell you about all the things I do, a lot of different things that I do. But we're going to get through this first. So using personal resources to help oneself. So if you have resources, like for me, for example, I have a gardener that comes 2 evenings a week here. And so I hire him to come the third evening for 2 hours. It's $5 an hour, so it's no big deal. And then I have him help me in my art studio. So I arrange a project and I'll have him glue it all for me. He loves it. He's all excited about it. And it's like Michelangelo didn't paint the whole Sistine Chapel. He just outlined and said, hey, do this, Manuel, or whatever her name is. And, he didn't paint it all. He designed it all and did some of the colors in the faces. Maybe, I don't know what he did actually. I don't think anyone does, but he didn't paint it all himself. We know that. So reading other books and materials, using rational problem-solving skills, and what I mean by that is, if you're stuck, ask for help. Ask 5 different friends. What do you think I should do? I'm thinking of doing this. This is what my friend did. What do you think? And getting other people's opinions. Okay, so be tech savvy. Don't get behind. Use AI, etc. Get into it. I was using AI for one of my books to elaborate a little bit on the ending. And I said to it said to me, hey, you can use DAL, D-A-L, and make a book cover. So I put the little paragraph in there describing the book, and it made me a cover. And I went, whoa. It looks just like the 2 characters in their relation in the picture, the way they're standing in relationship to each other is the relationship. And the only thing I had to do is say it's not a cityscape in the background, it's a countryscape, and so they flipped it. And it's really bright and colorful, and it's beautiful. And it only took a couple of minutes to do it. Wellness strategies. Our emotional well-being is our responsibility as we get older. You can't expect your wife to feed you the right things. You have to be responsible and advocate for yourself. The importance of learning self-soothing. Children aren't going to come and scratch your back and say, oh, Dad, I love you, and hug you and kiss you all the time. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So you got to do it for yourself. And avoid extreme exhaustion. Eat healthy foods, all the stuff but you really have to do it. Try new foods. have a sleep diet. There are things you can eat and things you can do to sleep better. And if you're having trouble, do it, because the better you sleep, the longer you live. Meditation and yoga, if you're into it. Be in nature. That's a really cool thing to do. And it lowers your anxiety, and anxiety kills you quicker. So plants are relaxing. I have vegetables growing on my roof everywhere here, fruits and vegetables. Having a pet, and then, equine therapy maybe, or a fish tank, or birds. I recently adopted the birds, these big seabirds, herons. Babies would drop out of the trees in the park down here. They're pretty big, but they're squawk and everything, and try to run from you. But I pick them up and bring them to my house because they're going to get killed overnight by other birds, usually different species. Peck them to death. So I brought them here, 8 of them at different times. Kept them for 3 or 4 weeks till they were old enough. Went to the fish store and got scraps, cut it up. There's a lot. It's like having a baby and breastfeeding. It was a lot of work. Or puppies. And just to go on record, I don't know what it's like to breastfeed. Anyway, so I didn't think you would think I did. But so when they got big enough, they either escaped and flew off, or I took them to the park and let them loose. And it was a nice project. And it was nice for me. So what else? A couple other things. Dancing and music. My partner and I, will be in different offices in the house, and one of us will put on swing music, usually In the Mood. That's the name of the song. And we gravitate to the other one. We don't know how to swing dance, but we goof around and we've watched it, and one of us falls down, we laugh, and then we go back to what we're doing. It's like a 5-minute thing, but it really is sort of fun. Builds relationship, it's fun, just breaks up the day. Yeah, so avoiding alcohol and depressants as you get older, really bad for you. Taking regular vitamins, especially vitamin D. Even if you're in a sunny climate like I am, you need a lot of D. Create environment so it naturally lowers your anxiety. That's one of my favorite pieces of art I've done. So put it in my dining room here because I like to look at it. And I don't like to look at most of my art. I get rid of it and sell it. But I like that one. It's Japanese cherry tree. And I've been doing a lot of painting of Japanese cherry trees. So create the environment that naturally lowers your anxiety. Create the kind of atmosphere and energy that you want to calm yourself down, around you. Colors and music, reduce stress. Swimming, I swim. Acceptable physical exercise for you can do. And here's a critical element here. Getting up, like this is going to be about, it's only 13 minutes long so far. About every half hour, I get up and do something physical. Either stretch just a little bit or go do some gardening or sweeping or anything just to get my body moving. The more sedate you are, the quicker you're going to die. That's all there is to it. And preserving muscle mass and bone mass is really important. That's doing a little bit of upper body, just, if you only could do one push-up, do one push-up. Start there and start to build up a little bit. You don't have to be a maniac to do this. Just do some squats when you're at the kitchen counter, or touch your toes if you can. And do this, build up to maybe 10 or 20 a day. That's all you have to do. With maybe a couple of times you walk, a little bit more than just walking around the house, right? These are simple things to do. Yeah, and then, just take a walk before you sit down and do a lot of work. So, I want to talk about my stretches. So I started about 4 years ago to do what I call stretches. And these I've implemented, and as I add new ones, I've just kept the old ones in many cases. So one of the ones I started with was to eat breakfast with my left hand. So I eat breakfast with this hand all the time. And I've done it for several years now, so I'm much better at it. And I guess if I ever have a stroke on this side, I can use this. It's also using this side of the brain to use this hand. So it's helping me with balance in lots of different ways. okay, I put my shoes and socks on standing up. And I'll have a wall next to me in case I need to lean back, tie my shoes standing up. I'm learning, I've been learning Spanish for 7 years, but each day I've been on, I think, Duolingo for French for 800 days now, and Italian for a few months, 6 months I think. And so I'm doing all of that. I like doing it. It's not very long, it takes every day. And I do my push-ups, I do my sit-ups, I do, sometimes I'll make a chart if I'm particularly lost, and I'll put on there, do some art every day, start a painting, do, I usually have a mental list of things I need to do for the rest of the day, and gardening and everything else. So I travel a lot, and I try to, I think I've seen most of the main art museums in the world, the good, really good ones, except for maybe in Russia, and maybe some other cities. There's a lot actually, but I've seen a lot of the main ones anyway. So I guess stretching yourself. Another thing I do is I have a donation box. I try to put something in it every day, because like this, a used t-shirt I picked up, because I like to buy things that are soft and that are in good shape, and I replace my old ones and donate them. And same thing with shorts. I like shorts with zippers, so if I'm traveling, my wallet or my credit cards don't fall out if I'm running or anything like that. So there's specific things I like to have, and I can't always find them new. So I just go to used stores and find them. And do art. I do art. When I went to Venice for Easter for 2 weeks, I did 8 paintings while I was in Venice. I mean, I didn't all finish them all there, but I did pretty much. And so, I have it set up. I set it up right away. I just do a little bit when we're downtime. Don't watch television, stuff like that. And I've been writing. I write every day, so I'm writing 2 screenplays and 3 books. I love novel of all things, and a airline disaster novel where I'm the only survivor, and 2 screenplays, one based loosely on my life and my partner's life. It's called Seminary Wars, and another one's called Castlebar, which is a city in Ireland about my grandmother who left home with her 4 sisters and put on a cart to the ocean to come to the US by themselves because their parents couldn't afford to. So challenge yourself every day and get up, because, and here's another one tip, it's not medical advice, but it's from me. This is my experience. Use your Aspie superpowers. This is how I used it. I had a heart condition. I say I had, still do a little bit. But went to the doctors like 4 or 5 years ago now, and I said, and I got all, they had to restart my heart and all that crap. They did all that. That's even longer. But about 4 or 5 years ago, I was getting tired of taking these 3 medications, so I looked online and said, what can you take instead of this medication? What supplements or what foods, what can you do? And I implemented all those things and lost weight and exercised and ate a different diet, took certain supplements and different foods, and I got an EKG, a little EKG machine you put your fingers on, and a pressure cuff. And I took my heartbeat and I tracked it. That's your Aspie qualities are like Einstein syndrome. I kept track for 6 months. Went to my doctor at the heart hospital in Massachusetts, showed him my data, told him I took myself partially off the medications. He was livid. You have to either be on them all or off them all. So I said, okay, I guess I'll be off them all. And I'll keep track of my data and I'll come back in 6 months. So I did another 6 months of data. Everything got better than it was before. So I said, what do I do now? And he said, nothing. And so about a year ago, my AFib came back because I could check on my little machine. And so I went to both my GPs, my one up north and my one down here. And they said, just take a little bit of blood thinner. And I had talked to my 90-year-old friend who's had AFib his whole life and he just takes a little bit of blood thinner. So Western medicine, I'm sorry, some of it's good. If you're in a chronic illness, I guess I would go there if I was like going to die of a heart attack or something. But I don't plan to do that. The other thing is I would really recommend that you really look as you're older. Avoid, if possible, knee and hip surgeries. I know that sounds, people are going to say, whoa, my wife had one that worked really wonderful. Great, if you want to do that. Depends on your age and your physical capacity. I've seen people go down where they're 10 years older and they never get back to normal. And what that creates is a life event for you. When you shut down your system for, let's say, 6 weeks, you're not able to walk really and you don't do anything. It takes several years off your life. And that's me. You can look up the science if you want. That's me saying that. And I believe it to be true. I've seen it happen. And, people get senile earlier, blah, blah, blah. So be careful about these things because they can lessen your life. And I want to encourage you just to really make changes. Try new things, experiment, be vital in your life. Don't give up sex. Don't give up sex. I mean, eat what you have to eat or take the supplements. You don't have to take medication. And, it's one way or the other. You want to maintain your vibrancy. It's not about being horny. It's about just taking care of your body so everything's moving, your hormones and everything, so that you stay alive. And I know that's, it sounds a little weird, but that I'm an SB. You can expect that. Okay, so hasta la vista, and ciao for now.